60 plus hiking.
Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm really excited to take you on an epic 14-hour adventure through the Cang Mountains. This hike was honestly one of the toughest, but also one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. We're talking steep climbs, insane views, and even walking next to a massive pipeline in the beginning of the mountains. It was full of surprises. But this trip wasn't just about the physical challenge. It was about getting out into nature, disconnecting from everything, and really appreciating the beauty of these ancient mountains. The scenery changed so much along the way, from dense forests to open valleys, and even clouds below the summit. It was absolutely breathtaking. So, come along and have a look at the beauty of nature with me. I started the day way before sunrise, in those dark, quiet hours when everything feels still. I remember waking up with this mix of excitement and a bit of nervous energy. After a quick breakfast, I made sure I had everything I needed: water, snacks, my camera, and extra layers since I knew the weather would change as I climbed. Stepping outside into the cool, early morning air felt refreshing. Everything was so calm and quiet, almost like the world was still asleep. As I made my way to the trailhead to link up with my guide and photographer, the sky was just starting to change. There was this faint light creeping in, and before long, I saw these beautiful pink and orange colors starting to spread across the sky. That little moment, right before the sun comes up, feels so full of promise, like the whole day is ahead of you and anything can happen. I was ready for the adventure. Walking next to the giant pipeline, one of the coolest and most unexpected parts of the hike was when we came across this massive pipeline at the start of the hike. It was just there, running alongside the trail for what seemed like forever. It stretched out as far as we could see, up into the mountains ahead and disappeared up into the horizon ahead. Honestly, it felt like we were walking next to this giant, sleeping snake just shooting its way up through the mountains. At first, it seemed out of place. You're in the middle of nature, surrounded by trees and mountains, and suddenly there's this huge metal pipeline right next to you. Turns out, it was probably used for moving water from the top of the mountain down to the valley. Just thinking about the effort it must have taken to build something like this way out here, through all this rough terrain, was pretty wild. But after a while, it kind of became part of the experience. The pipeline just strutted along the path like it belonged there, rising and rising endlessly with the trail, almost like it was following us. The cool part was how nature had started to take over it. In some spots, the pipeline was covered in green moss and little plants, almost like it was trying to hide itself. There were places where it was hard to tell where the pipe ended and the mountain began. It was kind of nice, seeing how even something so man-made could blend back into the natural world over time. It made me think about how humans leave their mark on places, but nature always finds a way to come back and soften those marks, like it's reclaiming its space. Walking alongside that pipeline made this part of the hike feel different. It wasn't just about the trees and the views anymore. It was like the pipeline was guiding us up the mountain. And honestly, it made me wonder about its story. Who built it? How long has it been here? What's it been through all these years, just quietly doing its job while everything around it changes? It was weirdly fascinating and added this whole other layer to the hike. I kept thinking about how, even though we build these huge things, nature always finds a way to weave them back into the landscape. Ascent through diverse terrain, the first part of the hike was pretty mental, almost like you skipped warm-up dive straight into its challenge before even the tougher parts hit. The path led us through this steep and dense forest, with the air was so fresh, filled with the smell of pine and damp earth. The conversation flowed easily at this point. My guide shared fun facts of the terrains, different type of plants and nature with me, anticipating what I thought the rest of the hike would be like. As the sun started rising higher, the forest lit up in this soft, golden light, making everything feel a bit magical. But soon, the terrain began to change. The ground became rockier, and the incline started getting steeper. Every step gave us a different view. Sometimes we'd get these quick glimpses of the valley far below, which was breathtaking. You could tell we were getting into the real climb now, but those little clearings with the views made the effort totally worth it. It felt like each step was bringing us closer to something big. Reaching the start of the real climb, by mid-morning, we had reached a significant point in our hike, a landmark. We were entering the real climb symbolically. It felt like a milestone signaling that we were entering the mountain ranges there. This marked spot on the trail was more than just a sign. It felt like a welcoming spot to pause, catch our breath, and really take in our surroundings. We took off our packs, settling down for a short break, grabbed our water supplies and snacks. I remember passing around my chocolate bars, sharing it with my guide and photographer as we laughed and talked about the journey so far. Sitting there, surrounded by nature, it really hit me how connected I felt to everything around us. The trees, the sounds, the air, it was like being part of a bigger picture, It was more than just a break. It was a chance to really soak in where we were, right in the heart of the mountains. There's something about stopping to really look around and take it all in that just fills you up with this peaceful feeling. It's one of those moments you wish you could bottle up and keep with you. Rest of the lake. After hours of hiking, we finally arrived at a spot that felt like a different world entirely. This serene mountain lake, surrounded by trees with a misty mountain backdrop. It's like a paradise. It's so surreal. It was such a welcome break from the intensity of the climb. The moment we reached it, I knew this was the perfect place to stop, rest, and recharge. Reaching there felt like a destination itself, a perfect place for an outdoor photography. The backdrops were picturesque. After soaking in the beauty and tranquility of the place, we took countless photographs. The photographer also made me change into different outer coats to bring out the contrast, complete with handheld iconic props to capture the moment. I thought it made a perfect photo studio. The lake was still, almost like a mirror reflecting the surrounding greenery and the soft clouds that hung just above it. The quiet was so peaceful. There's something about being near water that just makes you feel at ease, especially when you're high up in the mountains like this. With our packs set down earlier, we found a nice spot to sit, and took in the beauty around us again. The air was crisp and fresh, and the whole scene felt almost untouched, like we were the only people to have ever been there. This is where we took our break for lunch. Simple food never tasted so good after that long climb. I spent some time just soaking in the surroundings and snapping a few more photos. With the mist swirling around the mountains in the background and the trees reflecting off the water, it felt like I was in a dream. Each shot I took seemed to capture a different mood of the lake, calm, mysterious, and beautiful in its own way. We probably could have stayed there for hours, but the day wasn't over yet, and we still had more trail to cover. The challenge intensifies. Once we got moving again, the trail started to really challenge us. The chatter died down as we all focused on the path ahead. It was steeper now, filled with big rocks and tricky spots where you had to watch every step. We were climbing over boulders and edging along narrow paths where you really had to mind your footing. With every step up that mountain, the thrill started to build. Sure, it was tough. Your legs felt it, your breath got short, but there's this rush you get when you push yourself like that. Every tough spot we got past, every ledge we climbed, brought us closer to the top, and you could feel the excitement bubbling up in the group. The guide was cheering me on, helping me out when to pause to take a breather. It was hard work, but it was the kind of challenge that makes you feel alive. You're pushing through, feeling stronger with each step, and that summit just keeps getting closer. That's the kind of feeling that makes every aching muscle worth it. Summit experience. Reaching the summit was just one of those unforgettable moments. After all the hours of climbing, pushing ourselves up those steep trails, we finally made it. As soon as we stepped onto the ridge at the top, it felt like we'd entered another world. We were surrounded by clouds below, like we were standing right in the middle of them. It was surreal. Every direction we looked, there were endless mountain peaks, deep valleys and lakes. Fortunately, the sky had cleared up and occasionally there were soft, white fogs streaming across us. It's best views you'd ever get at a summit. No words can describe its beauty. How lovely are the mountain tops at the foot of the universe. It was like being in the clouds, literally. The air was cool and crisp, and it felt so refreshing after the tough climb. We just stood there for a while, soaking it all in. There's something about reaching the top that gives you this incredible sense of accomplishment. We took pictures, talked about how tough some parts of the hike were, and just celebrated the fact that we made it. Being up there, between the clouds, with the world below us felt like we were on top of everything. It's a feeling that's hard to describe, but something I'll never forget.
Journey down. The way down was a totally different vibe. The pressure to make it to the top was gone, and even though we were tired, we all felt lighter. Our bodies were definitely feeling it though, legs starting to ache and feet sore from hours of hiking. But with the summit behind us, I was a lot more relaxed on the way down.
What was really cool was how different everything looked. The sun was starting to get lower, casting these long shadows across the mountains. It made everything look softer, warmer, and we started noticing things we hadn't seen on the way up. The whole landscape seemed to change as the light shifted, and the occasional clouds, which had been so thick at the top, started to clear out, revealing more of the valley below. We took our time, stopped during standing breaks to take in the view, and really appreciated the beauty of the place. Even though we were exhausted, there was no rush. It was all about enjoying the hike and reflecting on what we'd just accomplished. As I came close to the ground, I reflected on what the day had meant, challenges overcome, fears faced, and the sheer joy of achieving something I had set out to do. It was more than just a physical challenge. It was a journey that tested and affirmed my spirit. Thank you so much for joining me on this remarkable trek through the Cang Mountains. I hope this adventure inspires you to explore, to reach beyond your limits, and to connect with the incredible beauty of our planet. These mountains have taught me a lot today, not just about hiking, but about resilience, freedom, solidarity, and the rewards of perseverance. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more adventures. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I love hearing from you. Until my next adventure, stay curious, keep exploring, and take care of each other and the world around us. See you on the trails.
You